Hello, welcome to the Understanding by Design, or the UbD workshop. My name's Ken Blaha, and I will be leading you through an overview of the three stages of the UbD design process. UbD uses the backward design method, which simply means that we will first start in stage 1 by identifying the desired results. Then in stage 2, we will determine acceptable evidence, which simply means decide on the method or methods of assessment that will give students the opportunity to apply what they have learned in the course and to show real understanding. Finally, in stage 3 is where we plan the learning experiences, or plan how the instructor is not going to cover the material, but uncover what students need to know and be able to do when they are finished with the unit of instruction. So let's get started with stage number 1. And just to let you know ahead of time, as we're going through these stages, I'm going to be covering this template that you can use. We're going to start with the stage 1 template. And just to make things more concrete, and I'm going to use one as an example that I've already done and completed, so I can show you not only what you're supposed to put in there, or tell you what you're supposed to put in there, but show you. All right, so let's get started with stage 1. This is identifying desired results. Now you'll see when you come down here, it says course and unit summary. And this is what I like to talk about as the front matter, or the administrative data. So under the course, you're going to have stuff like subject and discipline. In this case, this is an example I'm giving is additive manufacturing, class name and number, additive manufacturing, industrial 3D printing, AM001. Class time frame is 7 weeks. The grade level is NA. In this case I put NA because you'll see later, this is a company training thing. Keywords, these are things that you could use to find this on the internet, is 3D printing, additive manufacturing. And of course I put NA under all those things for school, department, corporation. Type of school or organization, as you can see here, I put training company in this example. There's no textbook for the class, and there's no links to online resource material for this course. But if you had them, you would just put them in there. Okay, we're going to go down to unit now. Unit title, additive manufacturing, layering the future. The unit time frame is 6 hours. So this is a class, but this particular unit is only 6 hours. Where does the unit fit into the class? Now you'll notice here that I have a yellow highlighting over this. And this is because through the UbD process, as you get through stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3, you're going to find that you need to go back and revise things to align, make sure they all align. And what I do here is I highlight in yellow things that I've changed. So as I went through stage 2 and 3, I may have had this, unit set up to be first or somewhere in the middle or in between in the class or in the course. But at the end, I decided it should be the last one taught, the last unit taught in the course. So that's highlighted because it was changed later. Okay, next is unit delivery. This is how you're going to deliver the course. I mean, how is it going to be presented? Is it going to be face-to-face, blended, online, a combination, something else? If you say other, there's a spot here for you to put in an explanation for that. Under course design, why are you developing this course? In this case, it was course project. It could be a plan to teach the course. You could be part of a team developing the course, or other. And once again, you have a spot to include explanation for other. The time frame to teach. All right. In this case, I put 6 hours. That could be 2 3-hour sessions. It could be 6 1-hour sessions. It's whatever it is, but the total time frame to teach the course is 6 hours. And the level of expertise is subject matter expert in this case, but it could be future instructors, course designers, whatever you find fitting for this unit that you're developing. All right, so under unit summary, first there's the unit overview. Give an overview of the unit in your own words and keep it simple. Don't try to be too teacherly or too philosophical here. This unit will in this case I use this unit will cover the capabilities and potential uses of additive manufacturing. Okay, the big idea. Now this is the number one concept of the entire course This is so essential to have a good big idea to keep everything surrounded around. In student language, why is it important to teach this lesson? Keep this language so easy to understand that a fifth grader would be able to understand it. Okay, my example here is, now you look at it's about why the course, it's almost like a marketing tool. Why would you want to take this course, and what are you going to benefit from taking this course? So additive manufacturing is an innovative technology that provides a creative and cost-efficient way to customize the manufacturing of prototype components, and is quickly becoming seen as a viable form of mass component production. All right, so there's a future to this. So that's what the big idea is. Under professional organizations for content, this is the organization that provides the competencies or standards for for what your unit is teaching. So in this case, the organization is ONET, and it's ONET Online to be more specific. The URL is in number 2, in block number 2, and then the next block, it's the URL competencies are listed where it's listed, and if it's the same as what you had in Unit 2, then you don't, or part number 2, you don't need to list it again. But in this case, there was a separate link for the competencies listed. And sometimes there's more than one professional organization, so there's a spot here for another one to be listed in the same fashion. Standards and or competencies. Now let's talk about what competencies and standards actually are. All right, standards are like the building block. Architects and builders must attend to them, but they are not the purpose of the design. Okay, standards and competencies. What content, standards, or competencies will this unit address? All right, these competencies are like, I call them knowledge, skills, and abilities. Others might call them something different, but what these organizations call them are standards and competencies. What do you want people in your industry to be able to do and know? So, for example here, number 1 is engineering and technology. Knowledge of the practical application of engineering, science, and technology. This includes applying principles, techniques, procedures, and equipment to the design and production of various goods and services. All right, that's just one of them. You notice here I have 4 listed, and yep, and there's a 5th one, and I'll talk about that in a second. But you'll notice in the left-hand column, there's a code to these competencies. Now, all these organizations will have codes. It'll be sometimes they'll just be a single tier. Sometimes they'll be double. And in this case, you can see it's like a double tier. It gives you the manufacturing industry, and then the actual competency. In this case, was knowledge 1, knowledge 2, skill 1, skill 3. Now, you have to understand these organizations will have tens, even hundreds of competencies listed, but you're only going to select the competencies that your unit is covering, what you want this unit to teach, and what you want students taking this unit to take away and be able to use in the future independently in a separate place other than the classroom. All right, so let's look at this skill number, or this 5th competency. Now, you'll notice here that it's highlighted in yellow, and that's because this is the purpose of UBD, this backward design structure. It's because as I go through for stages number 2 and stages number 3, I'm going to find things that don't align right, or I'm going to do something that's going to require me to add a competency in this case. And here I decided that I needed the competencies, and this one was listed under technical skill number 10, and Office Suite software for Microsoft Office, because I'm going to have students do things that was going to require them to have that competency. All right, so that was added later as an afterthought when I went through the next stages and realized I needed something added. And that's the perfect example of what this backward design is for, to keep everything aligned. And if I were to go later and add something that I need to do, but I don't have that competency in there, then it wouldn't align. So it's highlighted in yellow to show it was changed in a later stage. All right, transfer. What does the student need to be able to do in the future in an environment that is different from the classroom without the support of the instructor? This is this independent transfer, things to be used later in life, independently, separate from your instructor and separate from the classroom. This isn't what I'm going to teach. This is what I want them to know and be able to do later in life. All right, so look at transfer number 1. For an example, decide when additive manufacturing is or is or is not the best manufacturing technique to be used. Now let's go over here to the column on the right. Now remember, I told you these competencies have a code, and we talked about alignment. I want to keep everything aligned, so I'm going to include the competency code for the competency that this correlates to. In this case, it's K1. So if you look at T2, it's K2. Transfer number 3 is skill number 1, and transfer number 4 is skill number 3. Okay, so we'll keep moving on. Meaning. An understanding is an idea that results from reflecting and or analyzing one's learning, an important generalization. Okay, these meanings start with an essential question. So let's look at the essential questions. What thought-provoking questions will foster inquiry, meaning-making, and transfer? All right, so we don't want these to be yes or no answer questions. We don't want these to be. We want these to be open-ended questions that inspire debate, inspire deeper thought, controversy even at times. So look at question number 1 for an example. When is additive manufacturing the best option for manufacturing? All right, you can see that there could be many opinions on this. There could be many views. This could inspire debate. It's not closed, it's open-ended. All right, and again, to the right, you'll see the competency code for the competency that this question correlates, this essential question correlates with. All right, and from these questions come understandings. What specifically do you want students to understand? What inferences should they make? And this is more in the form of a statement. And you could always start it off with students will understand that. In this case, my understanding number 1, additive manufacturing may not always be the best manufacturing solution to build parts and components. All right, and of course, again, in the right-hand column, you'll see which competency this understanding correlates to. And notice this one has 2 competencies it correlates with. It doesn't have to be a single competency, and that's throughout this. So you can see this one correlated with knowledge 1 and knowledge 2. Okay, so let's go on to acquisition. In the short term, your aim is that students acquire knowledge and skill. Now, we're not talking about transfer now. We're talking about what you want them to acquire from the course. These are things that you want to be able to teach them and have them learn. You state the key declarative knowledge and procedural knowledge. You want your students to learn by the unit's end. And this is how Wiggins and McTighe, the authors of the UbD design book, discuss it. Okay, so we have knowledge, right? First is knowledge. Let me see if I can get this scrolled up right. Thank you. All right, so again, we have the code, right? Knowledge 1, 2, 3, and 4 in this case, and they, again, on the right-hand column, you'll see they correlate to a competency, in this case, 2 of them, all right? And some cases. The student will recall. Now you'll notice again here it's yellow highlighted. I went back and changed this after some feedback from colleagues, and I put the student will recall in there to make it look more, understand what this is what they're doing. Okay, so then these are the knowledge ones are more of the lower order cognition, so it's like, what am I going to recall? List, classify, explain. Explain under K4 is kind of in the middle, and we'll get into that later in some of the other steps on how we're going to assess things. But there you go. So then let's go to the skills. And again, what discrete skills and processes should students be able to use? And to the right, you can see what competency or standard that correlates to. And these are the higher order things that they're going to have to be able to do independently on their own. Not just remember, recall, identify. All right, and you'll notice here again in yellow highlight, because I added this, and that's why I added this second or the 5th competency, is to get this Microsoft Word. When I said the student will be able to write reports in APA style properly, formatted using Microsoft Word, so that competency was added as I realized in the later parts of this in stage 2 or 3 that I'm going to need this competency in there. All right, so this is a new skill based on a new competency. All right, that's it. I will see you in the next video covering stage 2 of the UbD template.